Do you have any idea how stupid you've been? Who the hell tries to cross a frozen lake when there are signs quite clearly saying unsafe, do not cross? I'm guessing that sign didn't stop you because you can't read, can you? But you know what? More than that, when I found you, you were about a kilometre in. You know what that means? That means you walked a kilometre with the ice cracking beneath your feet, and you didn't for a second think, maybe this is a bad idea. Unbelievable. Humans are unbelievable. It really doesn't matter who I am, but you're very lucky I am what I am, because no human would have been able to pull you out of that lake. Frankly, I'm surprised I even managed it. But I suppose my better nature got the best of me, as it always does. So I went through the effort of saving you, and here you are. Saved. You're welcome. Don't try to stand up, moron. Sit down. Stay close to the fire. Now. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Stay close to the fire. Because you'll die if you don't. I'm not keeping you hostage. Trust me, I don't find you entertaining in any sense of the word. If it was up to me, I'd have thrown your ass out. But, as I said, I have this horrendous better nature within me that doesn't like letting people die. You are dangerously close to hypothermia. Once it fully sets in, there's nothing I'll be able to do, even if I carried you on my back in my bear form. I wouldn't be able to get you to a hospital in time. There's not much going on around here. Hospitals are somewhat scarce, and the nearest one, you're looking at about a 50-mile walk, if that. So stay by the fire, just shut up, get warm, and then you can leave. Sweetheart, the most important part of what I just said was shut up, and that doesn't sound much like shutting up, does it? What? I suppose your confusion is valid, but surprising. I'm a shifter, and honestly, I'm surprised that wasn't obvious. Considering you were dragged in here by a polar bear, and now that same polar bear happens to be a large, miserable man, was it not evident that I'm a shifter? Uh-huh. Is that a question or a statement? Judging by the look on your face, this is your first time encountering a shifter then, isn't it? You didn't even know we existed? How dare you invalidate my existence? What? Do you have any idea how insulting that is? I just saved your ass. There's no need to come in here and say I'm not real. Humans and shifters were at war for centuries. But your kind... Oh, your kind had the numbers. A simple equation, really. Even if a shifter like me could take 5, maybe even 10 humans on by myself, I couldn't take 50. And I sure as hell couldn't take 50 that are fully armed with weapons. Not when we didn't have weapons at the time. So yeah, I'm a shifter. And yeah, I don't like humans. I saved you because I'm a nice person. God, couldn't you tell by how much of a wonderful ray of sunshine I am? Look, shifters and humans aren't at war anymore, okay? Even then, even during the wars, I still would have saved you. I don't like letting people die, especially not if I have the capacity to fix that. So, that's why I saved you. Doesn't mean I have to like you, but it means that I respect the fact that you're a living being, just like I am. So, that's why. Look, listen. Just tell me. How do you know nothing about us? Oh, right. Actually, I should have gathered. So you're not from around here, are you? You know what, I actually have no idea why I never came to that conclusion to begin with. Obviously you're not from around here, I mean, look how unbelievably unsafe you are everywhere you go. This place isn't really the best for tourism, sweetie. You should probably leave when you're warm enough, and never look back. You can't leave yet. You've got a job to do. Well, you're a persistent little pest, I'll give you that. There's some respect in that kind of idiocy. Look, when I pulled you out of the lake, you were clutching something in your left hand. In fact, actually, you were holding it like it was the only thing keeping you alive. Just so you know it wasn't, that was me. I was the only thing keeping you alive. But, anyway, I could tell it was very important to you. It was a piece of parchment, and it was very wet. I placed it next to the fire to try and dry it out, and, well, it's looking a lot more, in one piece than it was originally, so, yeah. Is that, anything to do with your goals? Ah, right. Yeah, I thought it might have been something like that. I haven't looked at it just in case it was, personal. So it's a treasure map then, is it? You're a treasure hunter. Interesting. I would have thought somebody reckless enough to chase treasure would have at least bothered to learn about the magical creatures that inhabit the area first. Or at least bothered to look at the map at all. Because, if you did, you'd have known you were walking straight across a very dangerous frozen lake. But I suppose you can't read signs, so why am I not surprised you're far from a cartographer? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so rude. Is this your first time hunting treasure? Chasing treasure's not an easy goal, So, yeah. Is this your first time? Then, I hate to break it to you, but this might not be the right career choice. Your first attempt nearly ended with you freezing to death in a tundra lake. So, are you absolutely sure this is what you want to be doing right now? I'm not being rude, I'm being realistic. I do have to ask though, what were you looking for out here? What treasure is so valuable you're willing to plunge yourself into a foreign land that's quite clearly well out of your depth? This place is barren. After the Great War between the polar bear shifters and the humans, both sides were devastated. Most of my kind are dead, if not all of my kind. In fact, I don't know any other shifters around here. That's why I live here. Alone, in this cave. Completely isolated. The humans ain't much better off either. It seems strange that there's a cache of treasure hiding around here. Doesn't seem like there's anyone here to hide treasure. And during the war, everyone was so impoverished. Well, it's just surprising. Your grandfather left this to you? Your inheritance is around here. Wait, so did your grandfather live out here? Then I'm guessing he wasn't just another human passing through. He must have been involved in the shit. He must have been involved in the Great War. Somehow. Is that true? You don't know what he did. That's why you came out here, to find out. I see. Did he never talk about it? If he left you this map, then you'd think he might have offered some explanation, right? He never spoke about it. He said it was too painful. Yeah, your grandfather was really involved in the war then. If that's what he says. If he can't even bring himself to speak about it. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. Listen. I won't speak about him badly, okay? Even if he likely killed someone I loved. The war took everything from everyone. Shifters died, humans died, entire bloodlines vanished on both sides. In war, nobody wins. Everyone just dies. And if you survive, well, you're dead inside. So it's not his fault. I don't blame you for not knowing. I get it now. I'm just surprised he never mentioned shifters at all. Regardless of what capacity he was involved with in the war, it seems difficult that he was able to eradicate such a large part of his past. Then again, I suppose I just answered my question, didn't I? I'm guessing he never spoke about where he was from, did he? Except giving you this map and a riddle. Yeah. You're completely out of your depth, okay? Literally and figuratively. You're trying to honour your grandfather's memory while trying to unravel the truth about who he really was. This isn't about treasure at all. This is about you. This is about where you come from. This is about understanding your family. Humans around here still carry a lot of hatred towards shifters. In fact, if I ever dared to try and enter their village, I'd be ran out in a heartbeat. The few that remain, they aren't nice people. I understand why, but I try to live in peace, and they still want to carry that hatred. Which has forced me to carry that hatred, so that's why I was biased towards you. That's why I'm biased towards all humans. When I first met you, I assumed you were from the village, and that's why I was so rude to you. But now I know your story, and I know that you never had any animosity towards me, and I was just being presumptuous, as always. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so rude to begin with. You're welcome. And don't get used to it. If I hadn't dragged your stupid ass out the lake, you wouldn't be standing here to thank me. Which, by the way, was difficult, okay? I'm so tired after that. I don't want to rebuild a relationship with the humans. That's more villager people, which... Have you been through there, by the way? Did you blow through there to get to where you are now? Yeah, I know, right? It's like 30 people. There's nothing I need from there, so... I'm not interested in rebuilding a relationship with humans. We're just both biased. That's all it is. We just have so much history that it's best if we stay away from each other. And that's why I was intrinsically harsh towards you. So yeah. Now, all that crap's over, and we've introduced ourselves, and we're kind of at an understanding of one another, would you, be interested in letting me have a look at that map of yours? I'm not, trying to become your companion in this adventure, but I really don't want to have to pluck you out of any more frozen lakes, so if you let me take a look at that parchment, I'll try and give you the absolute best and safest course forward. I know this place like the back of my paw, so yeah, that'd be alright. Thank you. Let's take a look. Interesting. I can tell why you thought to head straight through the lake now. Can see why you thought that was a good idea, and that's because it doesn't say there's a lake here on the map. This map was easily wrote well over 60 years ago. God, those were the days. I mean, not, in terms of war and murder and death, but in terms of travel. You see, recently the lake has expanded. More of the ice has melted, and it's gotten an awful lot longer. So, yeah, that lake wasn't here when this map was wrote. How do I remember that far back? I'm guessing you're asking my age, aren't you? Yeah, I'm 86 years old. I know I only look like I'm in my mid to late 20s, but that's because shifters age differently than humans. We have nearly twice the life expectancy. Though, I don't blame you for not knowing that because, you didn't even know we existed till recently. No offence, of course. But yeah, so, I do remember when this map was made. Right, so after here, you would have needed to go through the icy bypass, just behind the glacier wall, which is much further ahead now. You would have gone up there, to the west. Jesus Christ, there's so many new lakes and there's so many new dangers ahead. Oh, this is dangerous for you to be following this. Plus, the map, it's incomplete. There's a piece missing towards the top. Was that piece missing before you fell in the water, or was it gone beforehand? Kinda looks like it was tore. This is a military map, isn't it? Right. Well, I guess that explains why there's a piece missing. Must have been torn during a scuffle with a shifter. Huh. Yeah, see these marks here? That's bear claw. Kinda looks like mine, actually. See? If I shift my hand back to a polar bear's... it's near enough the same size. Interesting. I guess all this means is your grandfather must have had a really rough time escaping this hellhole. Still, I know where this map leads to. It leads to an abandoned shack the humans used to use as a barrack. I don't need the end of the map to know that, because that's all that's up there. The small footnote at the bottom is also a clue because it says third pillar. Now I know that reads like a riddle, but that shack was actually built by polar bear shifters. Now, this was before the war when humans and polar bear shifters were pretending to be friends. And polar bear shifters, when they build their shacks and houses, they tend to use giant icy pillars. So it would be my best guess that the third pillar from the entrance more than likely houses what you're looking for. Now, the pillars are rock solid, so it won't be inside the pillar itself, it will more than likely be underneath it. So, I really hope you've brought a shovel, because that's going to be quite the dig. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, this map is not going to help you navigate the tundra at all. The tundra is ever-changing. So, I am going to take the liberty of altering it for you. Not because I care, but because I, once again, don't want to see you fall in an icy lake or down a ravine or anything like that. So if you pass me a piece of charcoal from the fire, thank you, I will begin making a new route, which should be much easier for you to follow and much safer. You know, it's funny. I used to know the person who basically ran that barracks. He was a captain stationed there, fighting for the human side. Interesting man, actually. No, he was one of the few that made me question the war altogether. You see, my father in the war, he died against the humans, and I decided that I was going to be the hero of the polar bear shifters and rise through the ranks and carry the war on till the bitter end. Which is why I'm such a happy person these days. Terrible decision, that. I saw so many horrors. Man-made, polar bear-made. It was awful. I myself ended up becoming a captain, like the guy who used to run this barracks. I mean, if you're interested in why the war started, it was simple, really. Integration simply didn't work. The humans moved in. They tried to move us out. We tried to live peacefully with the humans, but then they started hunting all of our livestock and claimed we were hunting theirs. There was a very finite amount of food in this land, and that was nobody's fault. Either way, it led to tensions, and amongst all of that, we tried to follow the humans' lead, try living in their village with them, but it then became a power struggle. They didn't like the fact that we could, well, effectively turn into a weapon at any given time. They didn't see us as humans that could turn into polar bears, they saw us as polar bears that could turn into humans, and they feared us. Couldn't beat us in a fist fight, basically. Tensions grew ever more. Food became more scarce, people became more agitated, and you'd be surprised what hunger does to people. How vicious it makes people. And I guess eventually, a good few years of that, well, war broke out. I believe that's how all wars to a certain extent start. Lack of resources, lack of trust, but most importantly, a simple lack of understanding one another. A simple lack of communication. It really should have been all of us versus the world, but it wasn't. Each of us wanted to blame somebody else for why we were suffering. So, the polar bears blamed the humans blamed the polar bears. Simple, really. The humans were the ones to start it. And that's not me trying to justify this thing. That's how it was. The humans launched their first attack on us. They figured it would be easy to take us down given the fact they had weapons and guns and bombs, and we only had transfiguration. But we had claws. We had strength. We had unyielding stamina. And they didn't realise just how resilient we are. And well, the war, it stretched on. They attacked us, we attacked back, vice versa. Each attack became more coordinated and organised. Each attack led to more death. Eventually, we damn near eradicated each other completely. And that's why it's so barren these days, because there's hardly any of us left. During the middle of the war, though, there was something interesting that happened. At that very same barracks you're heading to, believe it or not, the captain who ran that barracks, he had a son. The son fell gravely ill. and the captain desperately needed to get his son some medical attention. The hospital was very, very far away. It was during a blizzard. Taking his son out there with the conventional methods of transport the humans had would have been suicide. It would have killed the captain and it would have killed the son. But he was desperate. He was a brave, tough old boot, that man was. And he wasn't going to let his son die of consumption, so he decided to bite down on all of his pride and risk it all. He came to me, the captain of the polar bear shifters, begging me to carry his son on my shoulders and take him to hospital, because he knew I could run him there quicker, more efficiently, and keep him warm in the process. I was his only hope. Ironic, isn't it? The person he's been fighting against his entire life is his only hope. I should have killed him then. But I saw in his eyes the desperation. I didn't have any children, but I knew how my father used to look at me, and I knew how much pain he was in. As you saw earlier, I have a nasty habit of being nice. So I agreed. I carried his son to hospital, ran him there in a tenth of the time it would have taken him in his automobile, or whatever he calls it. Unfortunately, thanks to my intervention, the son survived. What happened to the captain? We let him go. We let him go peacefully. It seemed in bad taste after we rescued his son to just kill him, even though he actually offered his life to us as payment. So we just let him go. After that, though, I heard stories from some of the human captures that he went mad. He even desperately tried to broker peace with the shifters at one point after this. But we were too deep in it to stop. It's the thing with war. It's an eye for an eye, but it never ends. It's a perpetual motion machine. The only time war stops is when everybody's blind. However, my one act of kindness changed his paradigm so much, he eventually just refused to bear arms against the polar bears. In fact, I think seeing what I did for his son, well, this is why they say he went mad, because he actually felt the gravity of the situation for once. He was a decorated captain. He was dangerous and he was brilliant at his job. But he didn't see polar bear shifters as people. And he saw his own people as pawns and troopers, you know, like a game, almost. But after what happened, he realised we're all humans, slaughtering each other for nothing, really. Some say he walked out into the cold and never came back. Personally, I just think he left. I just think he took his son one day and pissed off. Took a very painful lesson with him, though. That war, regardless of the side you're on, is the worst thing humans have ever created. And the most horrendous decision humans make. I feel sorry for him. I carried on, obviously, and then we ended up at a stalemate. And that's where I've been ever since. It's a stalemate. I'm not at war with the humans anymore, obviously, but it just kind of stopped. Neither side conceded, they just stopped once everything was gone. I guess that's the critical point when war truly ends, is when there's nothing left to fight for. That's why it's so horrible. What was the captain's name? I didn't know his real name. He just had a nickname which his subordinates used to call him. Like I said, he was a intense fella, very respected. They used to call him Captain Fireheart, because the fire in his heart could burn through any polar bear shifter, or something like that. Yeah, so, Captain Fireheart. What did you just say? Is my name Bjorn? Yeah, how do you know my name? I never told you my name. Along with the map, your grandfather gave you a letter addressed to a man named Bjorn. He didn't tell you where to find the man or anything about him. He just said, give it to Bjorn if ever you see him. And then he died. I'm Bjorn. Do you have that letter on you now? Thank you. I'm guessing your backpack protected it from the water. It says, Dear Bjorn Icefang. That was my nickname during the war, Captain Icefang. He was Fireheart, I was Icefang. Red versus blue. This has to be for me. Would you mind me opening it? Thank you. It says thank you for the peace you've given me, Fireheart. Your grandfather was Captain Fireheart. That must mean the person I saved all those years ago was your father. You're the grandchild of Captain Fireheart. I'm lost for words, which is rare for me. I couldn't agree more. What a remarkably small world we live in. Your grandfather, he did many things during the war. We all did. We did what we could to survive. But he only ever did things out of protection. Don't get me wrong. He was a nasty piece of work, we all was. We had to be. But he was not a bad man, and he wasn't cruel. He wasn't a monster. He was just the same as the rest of us. Hungry, trying to save our family. This means more to me than you could possibly imagine. I could tell you some stories about your grandfather. I could fill in the gaps, and I will do, but I won't tell you everything he did during the war because you don't need to hear that. All you need to know is that your grandfather was a good man. He was an honest man, and he was a hero. And I'm sorry for your loss. He was a good man. Yeah, I have stopped writing on your map. Because you don't need it anymore. You don't need a map. I'm gonna come with you. Yeah. I know I said I wouldn't. I know I told you to piss off, and I know... Shit. I know what I said. But this... me accompanying you on this adventure, helping you get your inheritance and find closure, well, rather selfishly, it might be my way to find closure myself and actually put an end to this war. 2 people. 1, the old, broken Icefang, and the legacy of Fireheart. Ending this together. So let's do it. Oh, no, I'm gonna follow you, and I'm gonna make sure you're safe all the way to the end. It's still quite the journey, okay? And you'll be much safer off with my help. I'm gonna come with you. And we're gonna put an end to this. Even if it is in such a personal and menial way. I feel like this is my atonement. Yeah. Maybe I don't need to atone. I don't think any soldiers really do, but guilt, it's not something you can turn on and off. Duty, it doesn't surpass guilt. So, if you'd allow me, I pledge my claws to you, and I will help you get there. Good. And for the record, I'm not carrying you on my back. Maybe we'll see some other shifters on the way. Who knows? Either way, you'll be safe with me. You look like you've warmed up now, so if I gather my things, you ready to leave? Good. Let's go find the old Fireheart's treasure then, shall we?